Hi, Matt. Welcome back to Hi, Haley.
Well, glad to be back. It seems like I was just here.
You were, but we're back because we have to do episode 3 of our Copilot series, which is about topics. I'm not sure what topics is, so can you tell us?
Yeah, so like we talked about in the first video, the topic is really kind of the trigger point of
Okay.
how the Copilot is going to decide what to actually do. So when you're talking to it, it's going to try to figure out what topic you're trying to get to, and then it can take actions from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the topic. I'm going to share my screen. Or am I already sharing it?
Yeah, you're good.
I am sharing it.
You're
Okay. All right, so we're going to go to the topics tab. And we're going to see that there's always some kind of out of the box topics that are loaded here. So the basically the greeting, the goodbye, thank you, and start over. So if I just click on the greeting one as an example, basically what we'll see here is that we have the trigger, and then it's going to basically determine how that trigger actually happens. So in this case here, we can specify what phrases the greeting is going to be. So they have loaded here, good afternoon, good morning, hello, hey, and hi. So if I say anything, any of those words or anything like those words, it's going to say, all right, we're going to use the greeting topic. And then what we'll then have the Copilot do is respond with a message that says, basically, how can I help you today? Now you can have multiple different variations of that, so that it seems a little bit different for the user every time and a little more natural. Um, and then from there, we can add additional tasks, things like that, or we can have it basically stop.
What happens if I say none of those phrases? Because if I remember, you tell me stop talking to Copilot like it's a human. So normally I just go straight into a question.
Yeah, so you can set it up that way, so
Okay.
that, and that's what we're actually going to do here. We're going to add a new topic. We're going to click add a topic, and then we're just going to do it from blank. And then this one we're going to say, we're going to have it start with phrases. So we'll just click edit here. And now we're going to put in the phrases that we wanted to use. So the first one we'll do is basically create that IT help ticket. So we're going to go ahead and say phrases would be help would be a good one.
I say that a lot.
Problem,
Question.
question, support. And then I'm also going to add in the actual systems that we use, like CRM as an example, or we can add time tracking, Power Platform as an example. All right, so then we can go ahead and click save here. And then we're going to give it our name. So this is, again, IT support. All right, so now we have the topic saved. So what we can do is we can go and now add an additional node to our agent so that it actually does something when we fire this trigger. So I'm going to click add node here, and we're going to see we have a bunch of different options here for what we actually want the chatbot to do. So we can have it send a message, or we can have it ask a question and basically wait for the response. The one I usually like using is this adaptive card because it is a lot more structured than trying to ask question after question after question.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do ask with adaptive card. And then we're going to go ahead and click edit adaptive card. And then we're going to see it's coming up with basically a designer here that lets me put in fields and things like that for the actual flow here. So we're just going to first start with a input box. And then we're going to give it a name. So
This is kind of similar to Power App.
similar. This is actually kind of this used to be an open source website that you'd actually go to, and it's like separate, but now they built it into Copilot Studio, which is really nice. But this is all, you see it's all based on like JSON here, so it's pretty simple. But we're going to add
Did
it up.
one say adaptive?
What's that?
One might say it's adaptive.
Yeah, one might say that. Wouldn't be me, but one might say it. All right, so now that we've got our card set up, so basically I'm gonna actually change this to email address, so that'll be easier to handle later. Okay, so we're gonna save our card here. Now we're gonna close. And then we're gonna click save again. Oh, we got an error here. What's our error? We need an ID. So we'll need an ID so that when Copilot deals with it later, it actually has some information to know what fields to use. I can actually spell. That spelled right?
Looks right.
All right, we're going to save that. Now we're going to close. Now we're going to see that the adaptive card actually shows that information there. So we're going to go ahead and click save. And we need to do one more thing. We need to add basically end all topics here at the end. And then looks like it's also giving me a message here that I forgot to give it the submit button. So we also need to add an action button here so that we basically allow the user to submit their card once they're done with it. So I'm going to go back to this edit adaptive card. What we're going to do is we're going to add an action set here. So I'm just going to double click on this guy. And then over to the right, we can say add an action. And then we're going to do submit. So now we've got a button here that says submit. We'll give it an ID of submit button. And then we'll say submit ticket. All right, so now we have our card saved. And what we're going to see is that the system is automatically going to take my fields that I have in my card and put them into variables. So that's what we're going to see here. These purple variables, or these purple boxes, are actually variables that the system created. Now we can create our own variables when we click this new node here, but these are the ones that automatically get created, and we're going to see it's automatically going to put that the value that it got out of the adaptive card into these variables here so we can use them later on. So now we're going to go ahead and click save. And then we're going to actually test this out because we actually have something that works now. So on the right side, we're going to have our test your agent. So we're going to say help. And then what we're going to see is that it just fired that trigger because we're now seeing the actual adaptive card here. So I'm going to put in my email address. And this doesn't go anywhere, so I know we're safe using that email. But I'm just going to go ahead and click submit. And then what we also see on the left here is that whenever we're testing, it's actually going to give us a live view of what's happening. So we're going to see this blue checkbox here. It said the trigger started, our adaptive card started, and now the end all topics started.
So similar to Power Automate.
Yeah, very similar to that. But it does very, very different things, but the look and feel is pretty similar. So what we'll do now is, now that we have our information gathered from the bot, we can go ahead and click, we're going to add a new node, and then this time I'm going to add an action. So I want it to actually do something. So what I have done, I'm just going to switch over to my other tab here. We'll see I basically just have a Power Automate flow in my solution here. That's going to allow me to do something with the information from the agent. Now, when I click on this particular flow, we're going to see it's dead simple. It doesn't actually do anything other than take in the data and give it back. But I just wanted to show what the actual information is going to be. So when you're creating that new flow, the trigger is going to be the skills is the name of it. And then respond to Copilot is going to be the output. So right now it's just going to suck in information, do nothing, give it back. But in the future, we'll continue to build on this, and we'll add in additional steps where it actually creates records and does things. But once we have that flow created, then when we're on our topics node and we click add action, because in our environment we have a Power Automate flow that has that action and output, we're going to see that create an IT ticket Power Automate flow actually shows up in our list of things to grab here. Now I have a lot of other flows in this environment, but this is the only one I see because this is the only one with the Copilot action and response. So we're going to click on that. And then here we're going to see that my flow is asking for some specific information. So we need to tell it basically what info to grab here. So I'm just going to click this enter select a value. And then what we can do is we can then see all of our variables that are out there. So Copilot grabbed a description from the adaptive card. So I'm just going to grab description here. And then we're going to do the same for email. And then we're going to go ahead and click save.
I'm assuming we don't publish until we're ready for this to be live somewhere.
Right. Yep. You'd click publish when you want it to basically go onto Teams or go onto your website. Okay. But for just testing purposes, we can use this test your agent on the right side. And I'm going to click the refresh to start over. This time we're going to type in CRM instead of health, and we're going to see if it grabs the right thing. So we'll see it triggered off of our IT support. Now it's showing the adaptive card. So we'll do test.test.com. And then we'll submit that ticket. And then we're going to see that it processed our Power Automate action. So if I just go back to Power Automate here, we'll just make sure that that actually ran. And look at that, ran 14 seconds ago. So then kind of at the end here, what you can do is you can then give it some more actions. So just to kind of give you an idea of what the other options are, we can add in conditional nodes. So as an example, if a user, or if we want to add a node in for different steps for different systems, like an example would be if we were using Salesforce and the user put in something like CRM or Salesforce, we could have it query the Salesforce help website to try to give them an answer based on their description. And if it didn't answer their question, then they could submit the IT ticket.
And where the information we basically bring in after they click submit, where is that being stored, or is it being stored?
The submit ticket, that's not being stored, no.
Okay.
So that's just kind of in this chat is what we're using for. And then what basically you do at the end is we just need to end the conversation. So we can do end all topics, or we can redirect the user to another topic. So what I'm actually going to do is we're just going to redirect this guy to a different topic. We're going to go to another topic, and we're going to say goodbye. So just to kind of close the loop on a full topic here, we'll just test it one more time so we can see what that looks like.
We should have put kick rocks instead of goodbye.
Well, we can always change that. Don't worry. So I'm going to click submit ticket. It's going to run my Power Automate flow. And now we're going to see that it gave me another thing here saying, like, would you like to end our conversation? I'm going to say yes. And then it's going to say, did it answer your question? Yes, it did. Thank you. 5 stars. Good job. And then this is basically that goodbye flow that comes out of the box, basically asking, can I help with anything else? No, we'll end the conversation.
I normally give up after the first question it asked me.
Yeah, I would have definitely closed it before that, but it's just to kind of give you an idea of what it can.
Yeah.
It does need some work to make it more user-friendly, obviously, but it's very, very powerful what this can do.
All right. Well, I guess that means we're moving on to episode 4, the final episode of Copilot, and we're going to talk about actions.
All right.
All right, let's do it.